the time that we spent. For me, for example, I spent, a few days and well, maybe a week in an art studio trying. I'm not a painter, I'm not an artist that way, and to immerse myself into another world so I would understand that light, that freedom, to be able to have the visual language to portray that. And then we went to, a strip club, and and there's what you want to ask about that.
Yes, I was.
Who would not ask
Well,
about that?
it was an incredible
fantastic.
education, and so empowering. Like surprisingly so.
And we had actual dancers that are there in the episode. And
That
so
you
you
met
had
from-
that we met that night.
We
or
met
that,
women the night that we went, and we met these dancers that were so open and brave, but also just candid, and kind of wanted to share. And were, quite frankly, I may be flattered that we were so interested in all the nuanced parts of their job. And we asked question after question, and it was such an education. And then we saw some amazing dancers that I thought one of them should be in the Olympics, as I told her. I said, listen, because she was just doing like things that defied gravity,
Yes,
or
really,
anything
really.
that was humanly
like,
possible.
how do you go around the pole using neither your hands nor your legs?
It was so crazy what she was doing. And then we actually ended up asking her if she would be a consultant, and was so incredibly helpful. And it was such a beautiful collaboration. And also the women like explaining to us the dynamics of how that sort of relationship interaction works.
Yes, like how they make the money, how they know which guys are actually guys that are going to be worth something, and who they bring back into the VIP rooms, who they don't. I mean, we did get a lot of facts from them, but there was also just the general energy, the openness, as you were saying. And I have to say that being on set, that could have been uncomfortable. And it was a very joyous day of shooting. I mean, I watched some of our actors who you're asking some of the, professional women, okay, this scene is about a strip club. So we're going to ask you to wear next to nothing, and we're going to ask you to dance on a pole when you've never danced on a pole before, right? In front of, 60, 75 people? That could have been very uncomfortable. But this is who we had on our crew, okay? Mariska's directing. Then we have Heather Quick is our script supervisor. We have Christian Joniak is the AD. I'm the writer. It was just like this wall of women, right? And
Protective women.
Yes, but I was watching some of our actresses that played the dancers, and they were sitting there. As a scene was being set up, they're sitting there on one of the tables and they're like swinging their legs, and they're smiling from ear to ear. They were having a blast.
Yeah.
It was comfortable, it was fun, and it was intense, but in a really, just like an intense way. We care. Everybody cared about getting the story in.
And our lead actress, Tanya Glantz, was so amazing because, again, as Kathy said, it took an incredible amount of courage to lay it all out there and really play a character that she'd never done before, and to be, because this character, our lead character, she was all about freedom. She just didn't have inhibitions. And it was a fun place to work. She was an artist, and this was a way that she expressed herself and, exerted her own sort of power and freedom. And it was like beautiful, but if you don't have that naturally, that can be pretty intimidating. Right. And she would go anywhere and found it and made it her own. And she also, I think, ended up having a great time too, and just
Absolutely.
Was so trusting of Kathy and so trusting of me. And I think she is so wonderful in this piece.
Yeah, it's a great performance. Is that line in there where she says, actually, it's kind of fun in the teaser?
Yes.
Is that for what you're saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're indicating that there's something about it that she's...
But she's not apologizing
Right,
for her body, for her job,
Right.
for her freedom, that there's no, shame and judgment on it, that she's like, I like to dance.
Yeah.
My body's beautiful. And here we are. Everybody wins here.